Take a trip with us to Nilbog. Just promise not to drink the goo.
Oh my God!
If you get sucked into the Matrix, we will send a phone for you.
Do you believe in fate?
But every movie has a plot hole, and every hole gets filled somehow with whiskey, wine, or blue milk. Just don't cut me off right now. We're the Plotaholics, a breakfast club of two. We're the Plotaholics, ripping plots apart for you.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Plotaholics. Brian, how are you today? It's the last week of Will Smith-Tember.
Smith-Tember. Yeah, this is crazy, man. The final week, the end of an era of Smithitude in the month of Smith-Tember.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a ride it's been.
We've had the good, we've had the horrible, we've had the meh.
Yeah.
We've had a little bit of everything. We've laughed, we've cried, we've angrily yelled, and
yeah, we've frustratingly thrown things at our television.
Yes.
We've been disappointed. I think that week in and week out, we have been not surprised by the fact that Will Smith ends up carrying most of these vehicles.
Right.
That is, as the dude is good, and it's something that we have alluded to, I think, several times, and it's that when you see a Will Smith movie, you always think, oh, he's probably the best part of that, or like that's a pretty good movie or whatever. But when you look at the entire scope of his career, which we've attempted to do over the course of just 5 films, which is not a fair shake, probably. But
not really,
but if you start to look at a lot of these, you see just how true that is. Now, we haven't really gotten into his Oscar-worthy stuff.
We left Ali out. We left
The Pursuit of Happiness, 7 Pounds. Like, there are a lot of things in there that you could absolutely make the argument, like, this is a great film that Will Smith is in, as opposed to this is Will Smith making a bad movie a little bit better.
Right. Or Will Smith making a mediocre movie an okay movie.
Yeah, right.
A decent movie.
Yeah.
And I think you're absolutely right, especially with those last two examples you set. I mean, Pursuit of Happiness is probably the biggest dude cry film of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, 7 Pounds. I mean, my God.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a movie that has a little bit of everything and a little bit of everyone, and Will Smith does more than just hold his own. I mean, I know we didn't do it, but let me just give a little bit of love to that real quick. I mean, Woody Harrelson in a role that like makes you love him even more.
Right.
Rosario Dawson. I mean, just those two names alone in that film are just, that gives it a gravitas that few films can even hope to match.
Yeah, that's a good and a great cast as well. Now, if we look back over, and of course on deck today we have I Am Legend, but if we can just run a real quick thought experiment, if you don't mind.
Yeah, let's do that.
I wonder if you could give me the definitive ranking of our previous 4 Will Smith-Tember films in the order that you think, like what in terms of quality, like your 1 through 4 of those first 4 films.
Okay, so we're gonna go the best of the best to the worst of the worst.
Yeah, right.
All right. So let me put on my thinking cap here. Let me get down on this. Actually, what I'm doing is I'm getting our Will Smith-Tember graphic up on my phone.
But for those of you who want to play along at home, those 4 films in the order that we covered them were Independence Day, Men in Black, Bad Boys and Wild Wild West.
Okay. Now, for one, the creme de la creme of that is, without a doubt, Independence Day.
I completely agree.
I mean,
100%. Yeah.
Independence Day is by far among the best. It is the best of the 4 Will Smith-Tember films that we've done. Now, number 2, I would go with Men in Black because it's Men in Black. Number 3, I'm going to go with Wild Wild West. And all the way at the very, very, very bottom, I'm talking about that's the hole where the porta potty empties into.
Were you gonna say the Plotaholics?
No, I wasn't trying to say well, you know what? I think we should have our own line of porta potties.
Potaholics?
Yeah, the Plotaholics. It would be Bad Boys. Bad Boys is so far down on my list. I'll tell you something right now. I would rather do us all-day marathon of Troll 2, and every single trauma film ever created.
You know what's really funny? As much as we both ended up hating Bad Boys, and me being the first time that I'd seen it, I am a little surprised that you didn't fight harder to keep it off the list.
I wanted to, but when you told me that you hadn't seen it before,
yeah.
It's kind of like a little kid where you tell them not to touch the hot stove because it's going to burn, and they don't listen. So you just say, okay, touch the stove.
Yeah, right. But it's the rare moment where, in this case, the parent also touched the stove again as well.
It's like, see, I told you it was hot. Look, ow!
Right.
That's what it was.
And so
I did want to fight it harder, but at the same token, in the one thing that we've always said, we don't want to just do great movies. We don't want to just do bad movies. We want to do movies. So I figure you might as well do it.
We're going to do pictures, kid.
We're going to get the pictures done, kid.
So then that brings us to today's film. And I wonder, and I feel like, so just for the record, you and I had the exact same order on those other 4 films. But I think what's interesting is that I Am Legend presents an interesting conundrum, because I believe that it's one of the better of the 5, but where does it go on the list?
I absolutely agree. It's definitely among the best of the 5. Very unsung as well. It's upsetting that it didn't get a lot more love.
How did this movie not get, because not only did it not get love from the critics, but I don't remember it really being a major cultural moment either. Was it because, like, were we over this particular brand of horror, or was this brand of horror, was this ahead of the curve when it comes to this kind of thing? Because I don't think Walking Dead was on the air yet.
No, I think we weren't too far away from Walking Dead coming to the air, because Walking Dead is going into, they're going into season 10 now.
Right. Was this just a beat ahead of our cultural moment where we got interested in this kind of thing? So this movie was released in December of 2007.
Yeah, so this came out 2 years before The Walking Dead started. Let me double check my math. Give me a nanosecond. The Walking Dead TV series. Yeah, because The Walking Dead, we're going into season 10 now, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, the series premiered in October 2010. Mm-hmm. So here we are now. We're 2-3 years away from it. I think part of it is that we were starting to get Will Smith out.
Okay.
I think that's part of it. I think another part of it is after Ali, and then Pursuit of Happiness, and then 7 Pounds didn't get near the love that it deserved.
That's true.
And I think that and then with this movie coming out, it was more people are like, all right, enough.
Well, do you think that part of it might be because this is, you're gonna have to take a little stroll with me.
I'm ready to walk with you
through this Shane-spiracy. We were talking off air about how the original novel is basically like the creatures in the original novel are essentially vampires.
Yeah, they're like a zombie vampire hybrid.
Right. Now, this movie, if you just look at it, it looks like a zombie movie, but the creatures in it are more mutants. Like they're mutated humans as opposed to zombified humans, if that makes sense.
Right, yeah, because they're not dead, they're
Right.
infected.
Right. And so, do you think that maybe it was something in marketing where, like, if this had been a zombie movie, it maybe would have done better? Or do you think that it's too, because even in the marketing, it definitely seems introspective for a horror film, for this kind of horror film. You know, it's just one guy and his dog. And so you already know from the onset that there's not going to be a ton of gore, a ton of murder, a ton of, this kind of like typical horror film flair. It's going to be more of a thinking man's horror movie.
And I think that's probably what some of the bigger issue is that, a lot of folks, they don't like thinking films. Some people, well, the masses, the critics, they're very picky when it comes to their thinking films. And when there's going to be a horror element, they don't want to think when it comes to horror. They just want to be entertained. Right. And I think that's one of the bigger issues. Marketing had a huge problem because they didn't know how to market this stuff back then. You have to keep in mind, this was 12 years ago. Mm-hmm. And the marketing of film and genre, specifically the horror genre and the zombie genre, as much as I don't want to put that on this, were entirely different than they are now.
Yeah.
So I don't think they really knew how to market this, except Will Smith is in it and there's a dog. That's literally, I think, what they're thinking.
It's like Castaway if Tom Hanks was Will Smith and Wilson was a dog and an island was Manhattan.
Yeah.
Manhattan is an island.
Right. Way to go. That was a good job by you on that.
This I Am Legend is Castaway.
Yeah, this is Will Smith's Castaway.
Yeah, for sure. Because for the most part, he interacts only with the dog and with the mannequins that he has scattered around town.
Right.
But outside of that, and then outside of the third act and flashbacks, that's essentially the only interaction that we get from him.
Right. And I mean, this is, and I've said it before, Will Smith at his best, but he did a fabulous job in this because we really had to connect with him on an emotional level in this film. And that takes us to our bare basics, a boy and his dog, right?
Yeah. So
that was a big deal. And then and it's not easy to sort of do like, he is essentially doing a one-man play in a apocalypse setting. And he does it very well. He's very focused. He's very driven, and he says it in his flashbacks in the first act, first and second act, when we see him interacting with his wife, played by the amazing Sally Richardson, and his daughter, Willow Smith, playing his daughter in the film.
Right.
But then when he interacts with Anna, played by Alice Braga, he's going with the same mantra. This is ground zero. This is my site. He's very driven. He's a military scientist.
Right.
So he's got that drive, almost like it's almost like dogmatic law to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A couple of let's just take care of some housekeeping here before we get too far into it. The summary for those who are uninitiated. Years after a plague kills most of humanity and transforms the rest into monsters, the sole survivor in New York City struggles valiantly to find a cure. That comes courtesy of IMDb. I Am Legend was made on a $150 million budget and made $585.3 million at the box office. So it did well based on its budget. It just didn't seem to make as big of a cultural splash as some of his other films, like Independence Day was. You couldn't ignore that,
Right. And also on IMDb, it got a score of 7.2 out of 10 on IMDb, which is a good job. I mean, IMDb can be very, very brutal.
For sure.
You want to talk about how brutal Rotten Tomatoes can be. IMDb can be brutal. I mean, to the point. Do you remember when IMDb had message boards for their films and stuff?
Yeah, it was rough. That was the wild, wild west back there for sure.
I'm serious, man. IMDb was rugged. So to be able to give it a 7.2 out of 10, that's not easy.
Yeah,
and
now,
yeah, you know,
on
sorry.
Rotten Tomatoes, I Am Legend clocks a 68% fresh, so it is certified fresh, with 213 reviews. Audience score rarely matches up, but the audience score and the tomato meter exactly the same on this film, 68%.
Okay.
And the audience score based on 1 million ratings and some change.
Right. And I'll tell you something right now. You know, you and I are looking at we're looking at the same three screens here, and yeah, you know, 213 total count on the tomato meter, which, like I said, to get 68% out of that and it's very, you know, that can be
for
very,
a genre
very
film especially.
Right. It's not easy, and you know, this is a film that it's not going to be well remembered by your casual film goer like you said Independence Day would be, but for cinemaphiles like us, you know, this is a big deal, and it's sad that it's not going to get as much remembrance as it should.
It's also, I think, worth noting, just because it is the genre that it is, that it was rated PG-13.
Yeah.
And so you do miss out if you're a traditional horror fan, like, you know, a lot of people would be. You are going to miss out on a lot of the gore and a lot of the violence that you would get in some other horror films.
Right. And I really wish that even if it did go with an R rating, I mean, the film does just fine with the PG-13 rating. I think the only thing that I have an issue with is that now we have to have our infected, or let me see, what were they actually referred to as in the film? Do you remember?
Oh man, what did he call them?
Like Hemocytes or something?
I'm looking to see if there's anything here for. I'll make a note of I mean, Dark Seekers.
I don't think they were Dark Seekers.
At night, he barricades himself and Sam inside his heavily fortified Washington Square Park home to hide from the Dark Seekers.
Okay,
They may not be what he calls them.
Well, they were called something else in the subtitles.
Oh, I got you. Give me a second here and let me. My shit is so messy today, man. Like.
That's all right. Mine is too. Don't worry.
I've been working on music this weekend, and so I've got all of my like MIDI player and mic cables and all kinds of shit on the table. So let me see. I'll make a new sheet of paper here. And I will write down. I think we probably started that around 16:30. Okay. So let's see.
Like I said, I'm gonna have to probably put on the movie. I'll put on the movie at some point.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he calls them, but you're right. He does call them. So I remember him calling them something, but yeah, and I guess in the script they're called Dark Seekers.
Okay.
And it's a nifty term, I guess. So we'll call them that.
Yeah, let me see. Yeah, it's just the Dark Seekers, whatever. Hemocytes. Thank you, Sharon coming in the background. They're called what were they? Hemocytes. The Hemocytes.
Okay.
All right. So, yeah, the Hemocytes in this film, you know, they take the time to wear clothes and stuff. Now, that's a kind of thing where that's part of that PG-13 thing. Honestly, I think that if it would have been rated R, I think that, you know, that they should have been, like, granted, you run into that issue here in the States because of how we are with the human body here.
Right.
Okay. But, I mean, honestly, do you really see these things taking the time to put on clothes?
Well, okay. Brian, you're asking me a really pretty fucking textured question right now, and I'm not even sure that you realize it. So, first of all, let me approach it from two different angles. First, we'll do it at face value, right? At face value, we have to assume that if you see zombies wearing clothes, it's just whatever they were wearing when they were turned into zombies, right? However, in this film, we know it's been 3 years, and it would be a little far-fetched to believe that those clothes are still intact.
Right.
So, yeah, your argument that these people are getting dressed is sort of what we have to live with in terms of implication. Now, there is a large implication in this film that these creatures are not as far gone in terms of their civilized minds or their humanity as we originally think, perhaps. So, and this is sort of where I think this is where a lot of our conversation is probably going to go, is with the Hemocytes and how animalistic they are versus how humane they might still be under the surface.
Okay.
And because the film, and I say that because when you look at the two different endings, which we've talked just barely a little bit off air about.
Yeah.
One gives us an ending that supports a much more animalistic breed of mutants, right?
Right.
And then the other gives us a much more humane version of those creatures, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think so. I think that it gives us an aspect of, and this is me looking at sort of a philosophical question that was asked in the remake of Night of the Living Dead, where the character Barbara comments, "They're us, we're them, and they're us," talking about the zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to find a commonality between humans and the living dead. So yeah, in one ending we get these feral, as far removed from being human as possible creatures, and then in the alternate ending, this sort of link between humans and these creatures and their, I guess, not hive mind, but more their pack mentality.
Right. So a lot of this reading, or a lot of this conversation, really hinges on the fact that in Dr. Neville's attempt to cure this illness, he has to continue to capture these mutants in order to test the medicine that he's creating.
Right.
And so he has he goes out and captures one of these mutants using this I would say it's a pretty sophisticated trap.
Well, he is a military scientist, so he knows how to think creatively and how to get these things done. He does an amazing job, but however, it's kind of funny that he does this and then the tables get turned on him.
Right. So, I have, just like the movie has an alternate ending, I have an alternate reading, I think, of the film that I think is really fun, but I'm going to save it for later.
All right.
What happens is he go ahead.
No, I was going to say, for those who've never seen it, this whole virus, this whole ending of the world happens due to Emma Thompson in a cameo role. Well, an on-screen cameo. In other words, she's just a person on TV in the film, and her cure for cancer, her attempt at curing cancer, and how it had horrible side effects.
Yeah, it had a 100% success rate for curing cancer, and then it just turned everyone into animals.
Right.
So, you win some and you lose some.
Yes, that crappy side effect. So don't be too excited if you hear in the news, we've got a cure for cancer. I think that's when you better start getting into your you got to start being careful. Get your gas mask ready, because
side
this
effects
shit is
include
decomposition
of humanity.
Yeah, seriously. Every time you see these commercials for these drugs, side effects include anal leakage, anal bleeding, anal itching. It's like,
right.
Wow.
Especially why so much butt stuff, man? Like, what is it about the butt that makes it want to flare up anytime you take medicine?
I'm serious. It's like, well,
especially medicine that you're not putting in your butt.
Yeah, it goes to your belly, and then it's just like, all right, bad stuff, right to the colon.
I guess it makes sense. I mean, it's got to go somewhere. I mean, where else? I mean, That's probably why it's always like you'll shoot flame balls out of your butthole and you'll pee oil strong enough to burn a kerosene lamp.
That'd be hardcore ass pee, man.
Right.
I wonder what happened if you pee in the gas tank. You probably
honestly
it
might be worth taking some of that medicine if you could convert urine to gasoline.
Absolutely, and besides, you hit 88 miles per hour, you might go back in time.
That's right.
Thank you, Mr. Fusion.
Yes. And
thank you, Emma Thompson, for killing humanity, by the way.
Right. So Dr. Neville then has decided to. Well, he stays in Manhattan. He's about the only guy there at this point. Everybody else has either died or become infected.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the implication here is that the Hemocytes, eat whoever they find, right?
Yeah, they pretty much eat whatever. Like because from what I remember, the illness is at first airborne, and then it's blood on blood contact, and it's bodily fluid contact. So, like at one point, you see where his dog is fighting to save his life against other infected animals.
Yeah.
And he said that it's no longer in the air. However, especially with animals, blood contact causes it to go as well. Where animals were never affected by the airborne contact.
Right.
So that's
he has immunity from both.
Yeah, he's completely immune to it. He's one of few that are completely immune to it. And that's why, and it's really, really cool. He's right there smack dab in Manhattan, but you have lions and antelope and deer running in packs in Manhattan, which is really, really cool. Yeah. But you see his dog, when his dog is trying to fight for his life at one point in the movie, his dog is bitten by one of the other dogs and starts to turn, and you see how fast it happens. And it actually shows that the virus creates like new veins in the mouth going to the teeth, so that when there is a bite, it passes on.
Right.
So it's really, really crazy. It's an amazing take on the virus destroying humanity.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, it is. So.
But they do survive on eating anything, really, and whatever they bite, it transfers over. So I'm pretty sure that they're hunting animals at night because they can't do anything during the day.
Right. Because and they're mostly out of people. Have you ever wondered why, when you have like a hive mind like this, I guess maybe because it's the hive, like what keeps them from just turning on each other if they get too hungry and just eating each other?
I think it's probably the same aspect of why
like pack mentality.
Yeah, the pack mentality. You don't really eat the pack. Maybe although in some instances the weakest dying is member, but the thing is that meat isn't considered any good. So I don't know why they don't go after each other.
That's actually fair. Is maybe they're not zombies though. They're just mutated, so their meat's probably fine.
Right.
Their skin's just jacked up. They're all malnourished for sure, but.
Well, except Homeboy, because Homeboy was swinging from
You're talking about Ryan Reynolds?
No, the Alpha, the Alpha of the Hemocytes. That cat was swinging from lamp poles.
Yeah, that dude. I kept asking Michelle if it was Ryan Reynolds because he looks like Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool.
He really does, man. It's almost like he's going after Will Smith and he's just like making fun of him the whole time.
Yeah. So the Alpha I kept referring to as Ryan. I was like, is that Ryan Reynolds? And she's like, no, it's not Ryan Reynolds. Like every time he was on the screen.
Well, it could be Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, it's actually one of my favorite games to play with Michelle is to ask her if people in movies are people that they are obviously not.
So you do it just to get on her nerves? Yeah,
one of my favorites. I try to find somebody in every movie we watch to claim is Miranda Cosgrove. It's so random, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's Miranda Cosgrove, and she's like, that's Jennifer Lopez.
Hey, is that Miranda? That's Whoopi Goldberg, you asshole.
Right, exactly. Like every time. It started when it was a show came out. I think it was last year, with Ted from How I Met Your Mother, where he was the drama teacher.
Okay.
And there was this girl in there, this Latina chick, who was like a really good singer and everything. And then I just started, I was like, I think that's Miranda Cosgrove every episode we watched. And since then, I've just like made it about everything. Miranda
That's
Cosgrove is
awesome.
in everything.
Miranda
Except for what
Cosgrove-
Miranda Cosgrove is actually in, then it's
Oh,
somebody
no.
else.
No, because I'm pretty sure it might be Taylor Swift.
Right, yeah, no, that's Taylor Swift definitely got her start on Drake and Josh.
I love it. Well, you know what's hilarious is the guy that actually, the Ryan Reynolds guy, Ryan.
Yeah, right.
That he played Benvolio in Romeo and Juliet with the Claire Danes and Leonardo DiCaprio version. He played Benvolio.
Nice.
Yeah, he was also in since we're playing that game. Also in Punisher Warzone.
Nice. Was he in an episode of Friends?
Yes, he was actually. No,
Was
actually,
he? No way.
No, I don't think he was. No, he was in NYPD Blue.
Nice.
And he was on Felicity.
Very good. Very good.
So-
What
so-
a random batch of things to be in.
I'm serious. He really is. Oh, he was in Blue Bloods too. Wow, this guy's had a very interesting career. And
Yeah.
I think him and Amanda Cosgrove have a baby.
Maybe.
Maybe. Maybe.
I think you're thinking of Willow Smith.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So let's focus.
All right, back to it. Back to it.
So Neville has this lab set up in his basement where he's testing different versions of what he hopes to be like a serum or an antidote.
Yeah, he's got all these rats.
Vaccine. Right.
And he's got like an ass ton of rats, and these rats are going nuts, but then there's like 2 or 3 that aren't like going crazy.
Yeah, first of all, ass ton of rats, band name called it.
Nice.
Tonight on the stage, welcome ass ton of rats.
Woo! Yeah.
But only if they are like hardcore, like Mumford & Sons type folk music. Not metal at all. Like it's just like, hey everybody, we're ass ton of rats.
Better yet, why not even have them like as a lounge band?
I like that, like postmodern jukebox.
Yes. Oh shit. Oh why. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Your mother, get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Open up your head and let it crawl into me. Hey, I have a future career.
Right. All right, everybody, we've been ass ton of rats. Thank you. Good night.
And at the very end, good night, good night, good night, good night.
Yeah, so he's testing on this ass ton of rats.
That is so great. Can I just say that Will Smith-Tember has led us to so many awesome tangents this month?
It really has. It really has.
So he's testing on these rats, and he only of like the 20 test rats, the ass ton, there's only like 3 that are chill.
Yeah.
So he captures a female and tries to like ingest her with it, and it still doesn't work. Now, at this point, it's kind of cool how the movie sort of sets up his everyday life. He wakes up, he exercises, him and his dog eat breakfast, then they go out, they at high noon, they go to Wait for Survivors, where they have an AM broadcasting on a loop at all times. And then he goes to his lab to work. And even his dog knows. He even tells his dog, nuh-uh, you know better than that. To keep the dog from going into his lab. And then he does his lab shit.
Yeah.
And,
I was struck by the Act 1 world building again, just like we talked about with Independence Day. What they do to set up this version of Manhattan is so cool. Like you mentioned, the packs of animals just like roaming the streets. Like that opening hunt where he's trying to get the deer.
Oh man, it is so great.
And he's just like crushing this Mustang through like down Broadway, chasing this deer. And then there's like, is there a wolf and a lion?
Yeah, and there's. I think it's the lions that kind of like go and like take one of his deer, and
Mm-hmm.
then another deer hits his car,
Right.
and then
It's sort of that whole idea that, if people were to completely disappear off the face of the planet, the Earth would be fine. It would just reclaim all of its land.
right, because I mean,
And
you see at certain points, the grass is growing between the cracks
yeah.
of all the concrete.
Yeah, like the buildings are still there mostly. The bridges were destroyed as a part of the quarantine, but the buildings are all still mostly intact. But they're just, because there's no landscaping or anything there, maintenance in the parks and stuff, it's turning into wilderness.
Exactly. And I'll tell you, it's really, really, it's beautiful in its own way.
Yeah, it's visually incredibly striking.
Yeah, even that. You know what? I was even able to forgive and ignore the Miami Yellow that made a little cameo appearance in this film.
Yeah, it was a lighter shade of Miami yellow, and I just sort of that color, that particular color of yellow appears in a lot of those dystopian type movies
It
where,
really does.
and I think it's just to set things off as a little off, like visually, like it's definitely not as strong as the Miami yellow from Bad Boys.
Not even a little. I mean, the Miami Yellow from Bad Boys is just like, roar!
Yeah, you could almost chalk up that yellow to an increased presence of pollen in the city since everything's growing up.
Seriously. Can you imagine though, like this world just taking itself back that way though? I mean, that's
the way it's gonna go down if it ever does,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like seriously, when you really think about it, here's another tangent, just an FYI. Do you remember that laughable Mark Wahlberg movie? That it was Mark Wahlberg, but it was a M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong movie.
Oh, The Happening, yes.
Yeah. Can you imagine if like something like that actually happened?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. It would be wild though, right?
You know what would be funny is that I would just still be here playing video games and like watching movies. I probably wouldn't even notice.
Yeah, when people start like killing themselves like that on that scale outside, I'm probably just gonna stay inside.
Yeah, why am I gonna go anywhere? Why am I gonna get together with people? I'll just tell Sharon that like, I don't know. I guess we're just not going to work today.
Yeah, that's why there's Grubhub, right? Like,
yeah, we could just Grubhub it.
We'll order it enough times that some healthy person is gonna make it to my house without killing themselves.
Exactly, and if not, I mean, hey, just leave it on the porch and then blow your brains out, dude.
Right? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Let yourself get. Honestly, man, I love M. Night Shyamalan. By the way, unabashedly so. I agree that that's a shitty movie, but I think that he's really great as a storyteller for the most part. What I will say for The Happening is that the first two acts until the big reveal are awesome, but that movie is so bad because of how it ends. That idea that people just start offing themselves for no reason is incredibly terrifying.
It really is, and I really like it. And yeah, I think that's why I give that movie so much hate. We're gonna have to do that sometime. By the way.
Yeah, it's the turn. I would love to do a whole month of M. Night Shyamalan. Honestly, I love that dude. I think that the movies that get him the most attention aren't even his best ones.
I agree, but I think part of the reason why people make fun of him so much is first he came out with a movie that made us think so much that when it hit us, it was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And then he started dumbing down his movies for people, and then that's not his thing at all. So then when he tries to go back to doing his own thing, people are mad anyway. So it's like, I think M. Night Shyamalan should just do what he does and quit worrying about what everyone thinks.
Yeah, and I think that he does that more often than he doesn't. Like, so yeah. I think that, and we're way off. Way out of center right now, but we are. But I would say that my all-time favorite M. Night movie is The Lady in the Water.
Oh.
It is so underrated, and it's underrated because it came at a time when people were ready to dislike him. Right. Because he had The Village, which people hated because it wasn't marketed correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And then The Lady in the Water came out, and it was like almost too self-aware for people. Like, there was a character in Lady in the Water that was a critic, and he was there only to get riffed on for not understanding movies.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I don't know. It was pretty excellent. I like that one a lot. I thought The Village was good, but I think his masterpiece is Unbreakable.
I was just getting ready to say that Unbreakable is my favorite.
Yeah,
because it's a thinking man's comic book film.
absolutely.
And it does so much with a little bit of time. And this was back when, Bruce Willis actually cared about acting.
Yeah.
So, and I still haven't gotten to see Split or Glass yet. So I plan on getting those so I can complete that trilogy and really watch it and appreciate it.
Yeah.
But back to the movie that we are actually doing.
Right.
Sorry, everybody. But this is why you come to us.
Yeah. Or why you leave.
Yeah, one or the other. I don't do things for people to like me. I just do them.
Yeah.
So anywho, I think that this whole world building and Will Smith going about his daily routine, it's really amazing because it's like, number one, I'm watching the movie and he's doing his workout and I look at Sharon. I said, you know what? I should give this 5 shots just because he's working out better than I ever will. And she's like, you will? I'm like, no, I won't. He's Will frickin' Smith. Look at him. He's dreamy.
Dude, Will Smith in this movie is ripped.
He really is. Like Will Smith, you remember the wrestler Ravishing Rick Rude?
I don't, but let me look him up real quick.
Ravishing Rick Rude was, you wanted to talk about, he had the porn stash, he had the porn star hair, and this dude had so many abs that saying that he had a 6-pack is disrespectful.
Yeah, this dude has, let's count them, like 12 abs.
He has too many abs.
He has like 12 abs. That's crazy. And
he would come to the ring and he would say, because he was a heel, and heels always have to use the easiest way for a heel to get heat with the crowd is insult their hometown. So he'd be like, I want all of you fat, lazy, ugly, useless Pittsburgh trash to sit down and shut up while I take my robe off and show the ladies what a real man looks like. And then his music was that Chippendales music. And he would just like slowly, like he was stripping, take off his robe, then put interlace his fingers behind his head and start just like gyrating his hips, which made his 12 abs turn into 24.
I'm ashamed at how long I've been looking at his pictures.
I'm serious. It's not fair. And Will Smith has that it's not fair.
Yeah, he's got that going on in this movie for sure.
He's more ripped in this movie than he was in Bad Boys.
For sure. Yeah, by a long shot.
And, but he's, so like his whole day is working out, eating, and then he returns movies to the video store to keep some normalcy, but then he has his mannequin set up so he has social interaction. So it's like, he's a genius enough to know that he's going to start going stir crazy.
Yeah.
So he has things in process to keep his mind straight, which is amazing. But then he sleeps with his dog in the tub.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So he goes and he captures this chick, right?
Yeah.
The medicine doesn't work on her. The next day, he is captured in a way, like he gets caught in a trap that's very similar to the trap that he set the day before.
Right, what's crazy is that he's out and about, and then Frank, one of his mannequins has been moved. So that shows the intelligence of the Hemocytes.
The Hemocytes, I think.
Hemocytes. Yeah, the Hemocytes. Sorry, why do I keep calling them the Nemocytes?
I don't know.
The Hemocytes.
Finding Nemocytes.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, that would be a great movie. So he and he's captured, and then in his capture, his dog gets infected protecting him. And one of the biggest tearjerker films involving a man and a dog since Old Yeller. Mm-hmm. He has to strangle his dog.
Yeah, so there's the recurring song choice of "Every Little Thing's Gonna Be All Right."
Yeah,
And
it's good.
well, just the fact that so you have this song established early on a couple of times as the song that they listen to, probably for a sense of hope, right? Every little thing's gonna be all right.
Right. He's also a huge Bob Marley fan in the
right,
film, to the point where he named his daughter Marley.
right. And so when the dog is dying, and well, when he has to essentially kill the dog because the dog is turning, he is playing that song, and it is one of the most heart-wrenching moments with a man and a dog.
It really is, because he's like singing it,
Yeah.
and it's like the dog is trying so hard. It's like the dog is trying not to turn, and I looked at it as a throwback to the original Dawn of the Dead, where Roger's bitten and he's saying, "I'm gonna try not to come back."
Right.
And the dog is trying, and she gives way. And then it really breaks your heart when you find out that he got the dog because that's his daughter's puppy.
Right.
And she gave the dog to him so he wouldn't be alone.
Yeah.
So
yeah, man, like that whole
kills him on
thing
two
is
fronts.
You brought up a couple of weeks ago the idea that at some point in his acting career, Will Smith stopped being Will Smith. Like that he stopped being like the Fresh Prince version of Will Smith in all of these movies, and he started being a legitimate actor. And you see that in this movie for sure.
Absolutely.
Like this is a much more nuanced take on a character than anything else that we've done in Will Smith-Tember.
I absolutely agree. This is of these films that we have done, this is the film where Will Smith is not the Fresh Prince.
Right.
He is an actor.
Yeah. And maybe that has something to do with a little bit of the fall off of like the cultural moment, is that he's
no longer the Fresh Prince. He's
right.
not. He's not. I don't even want to say that the Fresh Prince character persona was a clown, but all he did was joke around and act simple.
Yeah,
but now
he's not.
He's like for real.
He's no longer welcome to Earth, right? Like he's
right
now. He's like reflective and introspective and thoughtful, and that's a different kind of thing.
Right. And I'll tell you, this is one of the most, like, Sharon and I were sitting on the couch crying on that scene.
Yeah.
We both were. And then the serum that he tries to use still doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then he just snaps. He loses it. And that's when he decides he's going to go and kill as many of those things as possible. He goes out at night, which he doesn't ever do.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just trying to kill as many of the Hemocytes as possible, which ends up getting him. They end up almost killing him because they outdo him. He's going on. It's the one time in the movie, well, the second time in the movie that he loses control. The second time he loses it, this is where he almost loses his life. And if it wasn't for if it wasn't for Anna, played by Alice Braga, he would have died.
And don't you think that was, I mean, and this is what Anna says, right? That he was trying to kill himself. He wasn't.
Yeah,
he was out there.
I really think he was.
Yeah, you don't go out at night. I mean, there are ways to kill a bunch of these things during the day when it's much safer. He went out at night to take as many out as he could, and I think he had no designs on coming back.
Yeah, he really, because what does he have to live for at this point? His wife and daughter die in the initial outbreak because the Hemocytes attacked a helicopter that hit theirs, and all he had left from his wife and his daughter was Sam. And now Sam is gone. He had to strangle Sam. So yeah, of course he wasn't planning on coming back. He was gonna kill. He wanted to kill as many of them as he could. Like you said, this was a kamikaze mission.
Yeah. Yeah, well, because he says, so he's saved by Anna and company, Anna and her son.
Well, he's not her son. He's just another survivor.
Just another kid. Yeah, that's fair. And so these two find Dr. Neville and save him and take him back home. And where they fucked up is that all of the Hemocytes were able to follow them there.
Right.
So now they know where to find a source of food, even if it's just 3 people. So
Well,
that tells me when Neville was upset that they took him home and they were followed, that tells me that he had no designs on coming back home because he went out at night. And if you're going to go out at night and run over a bunch of these things, there's no way you're going to kill all of them. If you're going to come back home, they're going to follow you. So he wasn't going to come back.
right. And not to mention the fact that, and this is kind of one thing that you notice when he interacts with Anna and Ethan, he is not used to being with people.
Right.
He is not used to it anymore because he sees them like she's cooking breakfast and he's like, he has this look like, what the hell are you doing in my stuff?
Yeah.
And then when, Ethan is watching a movie, he gives him a look like, who the hell are you to be getting into my stuff? And then the instant that she starts to give him a different perspective on things, he loses it. Like completely loses it.
Right.
To the point where they're about to like ditch him like for good.
Yeah. So then we have our final sort of showdown, right?
Yeah, at this point, well, I think also, you're talking about, they're coming for food. You find out, and that's what a lot of us thought, but then you find out, that this attack on his home, in which he has a lot of awesome fail safes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they're not set to protect him against an all-out assault.
Right.
Because, he blows up every vehicle in that area, and it takes out a ton, but it's still not enough.
Yeah, it also was like not the smartest move, I feel like, because the blast off of those explosions ended up popping some of his other fail safes open. Like some of his shutters and stuff on the windows were popped open by that.
Right. It's almost one of those where he had those set up, so it's like, well, I'm gonna die anyway, so I'm gonna go out.
Yeah, right.
It seems like all of his fail safes were like final solutions to kill himself as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you find out that all they want is that female back. Well, and this is where we come to our point of contention, because I
don't know that you see that in the original theatrical cut.
You really don't. You don't see it. It's just they're coming after him to come after him. At least that's what it looks like to me. Where in the alternate ending, they want their alpha's mate back. Yeah, this is our point of this is our first point of major contention, Shane.
Yeah, it seems that way.
And I've been awaiting this. We've been doing the show now for going on 7 months now, and we've never had a point of contention before. But here it is, and I've been waiting.
Has it really been 7 months?
Yeah, our first show was in March, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're coming up. It's almost October, so we're coming up on 7 months that we started this shindig. And we've never had a point of contention. And I've actually been. I told myself that if we got to the new year and we did not have a point of contention, that I was going to purposefully not like something that you like, just so we could have that contentious moment.
Yeah. Well, I think that as much as we've maybe been looking forward to having this kind of a brawl, I'm not sure that either of us are really that dug in on anything that we're really going to fight over it.
No, I don't think so either. But it's fun to at least have a disagreement.
Different of opinion. Yeah, for sure. So we get to the end, and the theatrical cut, I suppose, is the one that I watched originally, which is where like we said, the Hemocytes swarm the house, and there's really no indication that they're there to reclaim their own, and that they're just there either for food or retaliation, whatever. And the ending of this version sees, what we kind of glossed over is that Will Smith has successfully found what he thinks is a cure.
Right.
And so he takes the cure and gives it to Anna, and her and Ethan hide in this little, cubby hole.
Right.
And
And he even
essentially
says it's in his the key to it is in his blood.
right. And so it's essentially then he kills himself. He takes a grenade, pulls the pin, and runs into the group of swarming Hemocytes and blows up. And then we get this like, couple of weeks, months later, where Anna and Ethan are pulling up to the survivors colony.
Right.
That's ending one. That's the theatrical ending. That's the one I prefer, and you prefer the other one, right?
I do like the ending where he realizes that it's working, but he realizes that they're looking for her, and he gives her back, and it's almost like he's humbled.
Right.
And the alpha, he doesn't care about him. And then actually it goes to show that the main reason why he has survived as long as he has is because this alpha allows it.
Right.
He didn't care anything about him until he took his mate. And I enjoyed that aspect of it, and Will Smith actually having to be humbled.
Right.
And because I like the idea of one, he's trying so hard to save humanity, but it's like they've already adapted to this virus. This virus has already turned them, and they've got their hierarchy. They've got their structure.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and I enjoyed that ending. I thought it was a very good ending. Even Sharon is watching it with me, and she's like, why didn't they use this? And I'm like, I don't know.
Well, let me ask you a more general question before we get into why we like what we like. How do you feel about alternate endings in general?
I mean, I like them in a sense. I like to see sort of a different take of how we get to this, where this trip has taken us.
Right. As a consumer, I think that they can be interesting.
Right.
Let me ask you, as an artist, how do you feel about alternate endings?
As an artist, sometimes I wonder when I end a book, I wonder if I could have done better, if I could have done something different, so as an artist, I'm not really against them, but at the same token, I kind of feel like when I write a book, I feel like the ending that I chose was the logical choice in that it should be what it is. Like the way I ended Invincible Heart, that was the ending I wanted. That was the ending I felt was the best. That's how I wanted it. Yeah.
So I'm going to just like probably ramble for a minute or two here.
Have fun. I do it all the time.
This is as a artist probably more than as a consumer. I feel like maybe if I was only a consumer of art and not a producer as well, I'd probably I might have a different opinion. But I feel like I'm going to use J.K. Rowling as an example.
All right, lay it on me.
Some artists have a really hard time just letting their work speak for itself, right?
Right.
J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter and wrote 8 fine novels, right? For the young adult market, and they are applauded and lauded as some of the best writing in that genre and for that demographic.
And they're even banned as satanic, so woohoo!
Yeah, that's a win. Anytime you can get a book banned, you've won.
Oh, absolutely.
So good for her. Absolutely, nothing but respect. Then J.K. Rowling had like a very brief career as a writer of adult novels under a pen name.
Okay.
And it didn't go well. I don't know why necessarily. I didn't read the book, so I can't speak to its quality or whatever. What's the
name of the book?
Oh God,
I'll look it up. I'll look it up.
I say all of that to say this. After that short-lived adult novelist career, she went back to the Harry Potter universe. Now, I write in an extended universe. I'm a fan of it. But she continues to change things about the canon or expound on the canon. Like, she'll come out on Twitter and she'll say that, yeah, okay, this character, yeah, he was gay. I knew it the whole time, but I never said it in the novel, right? You guys figured it out. Congratulations. And I'm like, just like, if that's the case, then just put it in the art, or let the art speak for itself.
Right.
If they figured it out, then that's awesome, right? If the fans figured out that this, or if they even believe that this character is gay, then that's awesome. My problem with alternate endings, or with creators of art doing too much commentary, is that it stops it keeps the art from standing alone and standing for itself. As when I was in graduate school, we read this essay by a guy named Roland Barthes. It's called "The Author is Dead," right?
All right.
And the central thesis of that argument is that once something is written, once something is read, the author doesn't matter anymore. It belongs then to the reader.
Okay.
And for the reader to do with whatever they want to. The author matters up to the point of publication and consumption, and then the author's opinion about the work doesn't matter anymore. It's always it belongs to the reader. And so by that token, it belongs to every person that reads it, right? And that ownership can look very different from person to person, because everybody has their own interpretation, right?
Right.
So what happens to me when I have a movie like this that gives me two different, we should say different endings, right? Is it feels like the creator of this art had no conviction with regard to what they were trying to say. I think I'm with you on the fact that the alternate ending is a bolder choice, because it says something interesting about humanity and what it means to be human, right?
Right.
But the theatrical cut is the one that they gave us, right? And so in my brain, that's the one that we have to live and die with, because if they wanted us to have the other one, they would have given us the other one.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Does that make sense?
It does, because at the end of the day, it's like, this is what we got. This isn't an arc. This isn't you know what I mean? This isn't a pre-edited. This is what we gave you. But here's another...
the other thing that we might have given you, but you didn't. So for some reason, the creator decided that whatever the message was in the alternate ending was a strong message,
but it's almost like the original message wasn't strong enough on its own. It had to give you another message.
Right, had to do something else. Yeah, and so...
Okay.
Now, here is... So if we go with the alternate ending, then the film establishes this idea that these creatures, these mutants, are not as...
feral and animalistic
as we thought, right? They're capable, they have an alpha, so they have a social structure. They are capable of setting pretty sophisticated traps.
Mm-hmm.
They recognize that one of their own has been taken, and they organize an assault and a rescue mission, essentially. Mm-hmm. And then when they get her, they spare the people who they were coming to attack, right? Like these are all the implications of the first one. That it has, like, this virus or whatever has drastically changed the way that they live, and the way that they look, and the way that they biologically operate, but at their core, they're still people, right?
Right.
Now, here is the Shane alternate reading of the movie based on the original ending, because the alternate ending makes a lot of stuff in the movie make more sense.
All right.
Right, because like the trap that they set makes more sense if they set it for him, because they're trying to get her back, right?
Right.
Here is Shane's alternate reading of the movie based on the original ending. And that reading is that Dr. Neville is slowly losing his mind and sets a trap that he forgets about, and he falls into it himself.
Okay. So then how did Frank get there?
Right. He put Frank there he put Frank there in order to have this weird conversation with Frank about where he moved, right? Like, why are you here? This is the bad part of town. You're not supposed to be here, right? And the reason that I think that he set that trap there is because he knows that's part of the hive. Like, that's where they hang out. So if you're trying to capture one, my theory is that he has these traps set up all over town to capture these things, right?
Right.
It's because he needs a steady flow of subjects to study his medicine on.
Right.
And he does this other he sets up this trap in the movie, this makeshift trap when he captures the girl successfully, because they found a new hive that he hadn't found yet. So he didn't have a trap set up there.
Right.
But this was his trap that he set off. That's my theory.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Now that only works with the original ending, because the original ending does not give you the payoff of like these creatures have humanity, right?
Right.
Whereas if you watch the alternate ending, then it's like, oh well, of course they set the trap because they were trying to get their girl back, you know. So I don't know. I feel like the presence of an alternate ending kind of muddies the waters a little bit too much.
Okay.
I also don't believe that this movie is about Dr. Neville going crazy. I think that the real reading of it is that these creatures are just a little bit smarter than he thinks they are.
Right.
And that they're just, I don't know. I think they're fucking with him based on the first version, based on the theatrical version, but then based on the alternate version, they're trying to get their girl back. I don't know. I know I'm talking in circles, but that, Brian, is the frustration of alternate endings, because with the I'm gonna pull the pin on this grenade and run into a bunch of monsters ending, you have one set of possible messages that the movie's trying to give us, and then with the I'm gonna slowly pull this chick out on this hospital bed and give her back to them, you get another set of possible messages that the movie's trying to communicate. So my problem ultimately with alternate endings is that it doesn't feel like the creators had any conviction.
Okay. I can dig with that. So we're not that far off, because
Right, yeah.
We're actually a lot closer than I thought when you first told me that you thought it was garbage time.
Right, yeah, like I don't hate it. Now, here's what I don't like about the alternate ending for real, right? Even if this thing had been in the movie from the jump, right?
Okay.
These creatures just like acting like cats, like rubbing on their faces and stuff at the end of it, just made me laugh. Like it was just funny looking. So if you want to know why I think they didn't go with that ending, I think it's because it looks ridiculous. Like emotionally, it's right on point, but visually, it's so stupid looking.
The CGI of the Hemocytes is absolutely horrible.
Especially that's why. Hey, why do you think they only come out at night? Because it's easier to make CGI look better in the dark.
That's true. That's beyond true. It looks bad. It looks horrible.
That last scene, man, like the alternate ending when they start like meowing at each other. I'm just like, what is going on here? This is no good. Now, I want to talk about my real beef with the ending, which is that the movie doesn't end in the basement laboratory where it should end.
Right.
The movie has this other bullshit ass scene at the end of it. In either version of it, you have either Anna and Ethan pulling up to the survivors colony with a voiceover by this chick who just showed up. Like, who died and made her the star of the movie? Oh, Will Smith. Like,
oh god.
like why is it that like no one has a voiceover in this movie, and then this chick shows up 5 minutes before it's over and gets to tell us how it all turned out? Like,
it kind of makes
that.
It kind of takes me back to Wayne's World. Hey, what are you doing? Only Garth and I get to speak into the camera.
Yeah, right, absolutely. So like this chick, like we get like a fade to black or whatever, and then she's like, I remember when me and Ethan pulled up to the survivors colony. I was like, why are you talking to me right now? Like,
yeah. Who are you to talk to me, bit player?
First of all, either just go to the survivors colony. I know where the fuck you're going. Like, that's the whole point of this movie. Like, you don't have to tell me. The only reason that she gets a voiceover is to explain the title, right? Like, and he was a legend or whatever, you know, like fuck you. So anyway, this last 45 seconds really gets me fired up. Now, in the alternate version, it's even worse because now Will Smith is along for the party.
Yeah, now we get even more exposition.
Right.
Why couldn't it have just been them driving up to the colony with no voiceover?
Or like, so my ideal ending, right, especially for the theatrical cut, is Will Smith pulls the pin, runs into the group, boom, credits.
Yeah. I agree.
Because this is if the movie's called I Am Legend, then it's his story,
Right.
and it should live and die with him.
I agree. I absolutely agree. This is a great film up until the end.
Yeah, they don't carry Strug stick the landing.
Yeah, it's almost like the what is it? The gymnastics and the Olympics where they do all this great stuff, all the flipping and the twirling, and they can't stick the landing.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know there, and I think it's because. So here's my other theory. I think that a lot of the time when you get to the end and you have two possible endings like that, it means what I said, that your creators don't have any conviction, and I think that lack of conviction also shows throughout the rest of the film, because even though they've planted the seeds for the alternative ending or the other ending, because they've had to plant seeds for both, they haven't taken a strong stance on their story.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a ton of sense. And I really think that where this movie has so much heart, and it's still among the best of this Will Smith-Tember event that we've had, this ending is just both endings are,
they're just not quite there.
They're not up to par. They're not up to par with the beginning and the middle.
Yeah, I mean, Act 1 and Act 2 of this movie, I'm like ready to put this thing up there with Independence Day without question.
And then the end just drops it.
I still think that it's the second best film we've done.
I agree. It goes of the Will Smith-Tember event, Independence Day, I Am Legend, Men in Black, Wild Wild West, and then all the way at the bottom where Antonio Brown,
the Plotaholics.
Yeah, where Antonio Brown and Vontaze Burfict should live.
Yes,
is Bad Boys. Better yet, they should do a remake of Bad Boys with Vontaze Burfict and Antonio Brown. They can call it Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh wait.
Right.
Sorry, can you tell I don't like those two?
I don't like them either, man.
Well, Vontaze Burfict apparently just got, we're recording this Sunday, the 29th of September.
Yeah, this comes out tomorrow. I've got to edit it immediately.
Vontaze Burfict apparently had yet another helmet-to-helmet hit, and it wasn't like a bang bang. This was, hey, I see your head. Let me hit your head with my head.
Nice.
Yeah, so he smells like pee. Just like the ending of this movie does.
I always thought about how Vontaze Burfict probably smelled like pee. I think it's time to get Bartender Smiley to tell us about our review, or our rating system rather, so we can get that out of the way and get done with it and get on with doing something else with our Sundays.
Yeah, let's put a pin in this one. We're not going to pull the pin out like Dr. Neville did. We're actually going to put
like Dr. Neville did or didn't.
Or didn't, depending.
Like, depending on which effing movie you watch.
Well, you know what?
These directors.
Instead of looking at it as an alternate ending, just look at it as an alternate universe.
Okay. I mean, that seems better for some reason.
For some reason, that's acceptable.
Right. I'll just choose to live in this one, I guess. Whichever one this one is.
Fair enough.
So, Bartender Smiley, take it away.
The Plotaholics rating system for the movies is a pretty simple system. Basically, they rate movies based on how many shots it takes to get through them. So if you got a good movie and you get through it all the way sober, then it takes 0 shots to get through the movie. And then if you got a really bad movie, then it could take up to 5 shots to get through the whole thing. I think you can try to figure out the middle part yourself. So, what can I get you?
All right. I'm going to start.
All right, good. That's a first.
I go 0 shots for Act 1 and Act 2.
All right.
I think that they are close to perfect.
Very much.
Then I think once we start to muddy the plot with more characters and more message and things like that, or different messages, We've got it gets a little dicier, and so Act 3, I'm gonna give it 3.
Alright.
So I'm gonna go overall. I'll give it a 1-shot rating. I think it's a good movie, but the end of it is weak for me.
Yeah, and I have to echo you on that. Act 1 and Act 2 are definitely 0 shots. I actually might have to have a drink of beer just to calm my tears when poor Sam dies.
Yeah, that's rough.
But once Anna and Ethan show up, it's like, yeah, because they were annoying. Very annoying. Ethan contributed absolutely nothing. He was the trope of the little kid that is completely useless. And Anna just shows up as, I'm going to be this outside voice of reason that you haven't had. Shut up.
Oh, that was another thing. I was not a fan of how, I don't want to say that it turned religious, but how spiritual it turned at the end.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. Look,
because because the first 2 acts were so grounded in pragmatism and science and logic. And for it to take that turn at the end with like the butterflies and shit, like fuck off.
That was unneeded. That was unneeded. Third act is the
I don't know. Maybe this is a 2-shot movie for me. The more that I think about it,
I was gonna say that, and I was with you. I'm gonna give the ending a 3 to 4 shot.
Yeah.
And it's gonna end up becoming an overall 2-shot for me.
Yeah.
You know, the Anna effect is what drops the ball. So, and I blame Anna for the ending as well.
Yeah.
I blame the character. So.
Yeah. She could have just go to Vermont. If that's where you're trying to go, just go to Vermont. Yeah. Also, how the fuck did she even get into Manhattan?
Right. Seriously, how the
hell
wasn't
she in? She was in like somewhere. Maryland, right?
I can't remember where the hell they were at. I know she's from Brazil, and then a lot of the those survivors were on barges, and then the barges were overtaken. So then somehow, you know what? She survived and she shouldn't have. If 12 of them survived, she should have been one of the 12 to go, and 2 other people should have shown up.
Yeah, I mean, they blew the bridges. If she didn't have a boat, how did she get there?
That's what I'm saying. And then, you know what? Boo you, Anna.
Get the fuck out of here, Anna.
Yeah, get out of here, Anna. Get out of here.
You're the reason this movie took a turn for the worse.
Absolutely. And you know what? And we're not just saying that because she's a woman. We're saying it because she sucks.
We're saying it, mostly because of that.
If Anna was Andrew, it would be, get out of here,
suck.
Andrew.
Yeah.
You suck.
Yeah, they should have just used Ethan for bait. I mean, what else was he there for?
I'm serious. That kid was so useless. Like, he offered nothing to the story. All he did was just, oh no, now there's someone to protect. Right. Now I have to put myself in even more danger.
The more we talk about the end of this movie, the angrier I get about it.
I know, me too, because I wanted to love this movie more than anything, and they killed it. And you know what? Better yet, I want Anna and Ethan to be subjects in the next film that we're going to be doing, Shane, because they deserve that.
Yeah.
So next week, guys, and this is all thanks to you, the listeners.
That's right. We kick off our listeners' Halloween event.
Oh, it's going to be so great. So we're on our 3rd voting week now.
Yeah, it closes you guys what will be tomorrow.
This is going to close. Is it going to be Monday or Tuesday? Yeah, it's going to close Tuesday. Tomorrow. It's closing Tuesday. So for you guys listening, that's going to be tomorrow. Tuesday the 1st. It closes at 7 p.m. Now,
you want some voting updates, Brian?
Oh, please do. Where are we at right now?
Right now, Ginger Snaps is in the lead with a hefty 44% of the vote.
Oh, what's second?
Second, we have a tie between American Werewolf in London and The Wolfman, both at 22%. And The Howling is in third with 11%, and American Werewolf in Paris has gotten no love so far.
Well, fuck American Werewolf. American Werewolf in Paris is the Anna of sequels.
It really is.
But I was hoping American Werewolf in London would win, because that is such a, even though I do not like John Landis at all. John Landis and his son are 2 of the biggest scumbags in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. It would not sadden me if they never were involved in Hollywood ever again. John Landis, of course, cost us the lives of 3 actors, 2 children, and the late great Vic Morrow, who played as Roy Turner in the original Bad News Bears, as well as, and he actually died on the set of what the hell is the show called? The Twilight Zone, the movie, the original one. Yeah. And Vic Morrow was just an amazing actor. He was, just an amazing presence. And if it wasn't for John Landis violating the rules, like child labor laws and safety rules in Hollywood, Vic Morrow would not have died at that point. He actually died trying to save those 2 kids' lives. And Max Landis, who's been in the news lately, who's a pervert and, yeah. But American Werewolf in London is still a great film. So I'm not going to hate the art. I'm not going to hate the art because the assholes behind it.
Yeah, Ginger Snaps is one that I'm looking forward to potentially watching, though. It seems interesting. But
Ginger Snaps is kind of a fun film.
So we start next week with Evil Dead. We're going to look at both the original and the remake.
And this is what I'm excited for, because the Evil Dead just really started it all in a way of the horror comedy.
Yeah.
In its own. Well, the original Evil Dead, and we're going to touch on this next week when we discuss it. The original Evil Dead is it tries really hard to be a horror film, and it can be very scary. And the remake just kicks it up into another gear. So that's going to be awesome. So, for the following week, Shane, what do we have going for the following week? Because that was our vampire. Our vampire.
The following week, we will be getting into The Lost Boys.
Thou shalt not fall. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not kill. I love that. That movie is so great. I love the soundtrack. Gerard McMahon, just like, that dude has been living off of that song for the last 30 years. He's remixed that song for every single Lost Boys movie. There have been 3 Lost Boys movies, Shane.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, there's the original, and then there's the sequel.
Actually, yeah, maybe I did know that.
Yeah, there's the Thirst, and then there's the Tribe, and then the Thirst. Yeah. And Corey Feldman is in each of those. And I believe Corey Haim was in the second one. He had a cameo in the second one.
Yeah.
And that was his last screen role.
Really excited about Corey Feldman talk. There's a lot to talk about.
Oh my God, there's so much to talk about with Corey Feldman. I follow him on Twitter. I was very, very upset that I didn't get to see him at Steel City Con this, months ago. But this is going to be awesome. And then now we're working on our werewolf.
Yeah, which looks like it'll be Ginger Snaps unless there's a big uptick in the next couple of days. And then we close the month out on October 28th with Halloween, the original 1978, I believe, version.
Yeah. See, Shane didn't want to get into the Rob Zombie version. The Rob Zombie first one. Now, I'm going to watch the Rob Zombie one. Yeah. Just for fun. But obviously Halloween is a classic. It's the granddaddy of, I call it the granddaddy of slasher flicks. A lot of people will say that it's the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and they're right to their opinion, obviously. But Halloween it gave us so many tropes that are still going on today.
Absolutely. And sometime in the next month, we will be dropping a bonus episode on you guys for the instant cult classic, Brian, the Velocipaster.
Oh, Velocipaster. I'm still waiting for the sequel, Rabadactyl versus Velocipaster. and we're actually going to have an interview with a new friend of the show, with our new buddy there, Shane.
Yeah, Alyssa Kempinski, who stars in Velocipaster. So
absolutely, that's going to be awesome.
You can look forward to that sometime in October. Not 100% sure when it's going to be, when that one's going to be in the can, but
yeah, we still got some details that we need to work on for that episode. Check us out. Make sure you go to the Plotaholics website, plotaholics.com, where you can catch all of our, you can get all of our content, but especially our articles. See, guys, we decided, and we put this on the Facebook page, but I'm just going to say something right now. We're a little bit burnt out with all of our content and, with the live show. So Shane and I decided that the live show is going to take a back seat for a while.
Yeah, we're going to continue to do quality podcasts every week. And I think that's really it. I think that we were doing the live show originally because we were only doing podcasts every other week.
Right.
And now that we're doing them every week, the live show became a little bit too much. But we're still going to have really quality, long-form articles on the website with analysis and reviews. Brian, you had a great review this past week of the indie film Groupers.
Such a great movie. It's one of my new favorite films, to be honest, if I'm being honest.
It is excellent. I've watched it twice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it's so good.
Well, you know what else I'm going to be putting out there to you, Shane, for our fans. I am actually going to be I'm going to be writing a review of The Joker coming out October 4th. That is, So I will be going. I actually got a 2-month free trial of Cinemark's movie rewards. So I have, you get a free ticket every month, and then they roll over. So I'm going to be using my free ticket to go and see The Joker. So I will be going to see that. I'm probably going to go on Friday because Thursday is, the day I spend with my mother.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go see it on Friday, and then I'm going to come home from the movie while my thoughts are still fresh, write it out.
Yeah.
Go from there.
You guys can expect probably more website content in the month of October than you've been getting, more articles and things like that. I have at least several horror films sort of in the can that I'm going to be writing about. We've been, Brian, I think it's a sign that your podcast is doing well when you start getting advanced screeners.
I think so, and I'm very grateful for that. And I'm grateful for the work you've, Shane, been putting in and getting us those contacts. You're way better at that than I am, and you're doing an amazing job with getting these connections and getting us these interviews. And I appreciate everything that you're doing. I think you're doing a nice job.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Well, I mean, hey, I appreciate you're doing all that. We're getting these screeners, and Shane is the guy, folks, that is really he's the heart and soul of this show. I'm just a guy.
I don't know about that, man.
Well, fine. If Shane is the soul and I'm the heart, Shane's the guy that he's getting us these interviews. He's getting us these screeners because he knows how to talk to people. I have horrible social skills. So, but, we're going to have so much great content. We're getting so many awesome screenings. So you guys are going to be getting a lot of articles from us based on independent film. Yeah. And we're independent authors. And, you have to support your fellow independents, whether they're authors, actors, filmmakers. I mean, it's an imperative. So I'm excited for viewing these independents. I mean, we viewed another independent film, Shane, that I believe you're going to be writing an article on, Butterfly Kisses, which is
you'll get just a general review of that one, and then also probably an interview, just a text interview probably. That's what it looks like right now. But we'll have a couple of different pieces out on Butterfly Kisses, which is another really great indie film. So
and if you want to check it out, you can just go to Amazon Prime and just search Butterfly Kisses. It's absolutely amazing.
It really is.
Groupers, which we just talked about, just had a sort of a short opening this past Friday, the 27th.
Yeah, in LA.
In LA. So the big release is going to be this coming weekend, weekend of the 4th.
So if you live in any, especially major metro areas, check your indie theater for showtimes for Groupers.
Absolutely. Yeah. Search for Groupers, see where it's playing in your town, because I'm telling you right now, you are not going to be disappointed.
Yeah, it's really good.
And if you want to get an idea of this film Groupers, go to Plotaholics.com. Check out my latest article, because Groupers is, and it's actually been getting traction. The folks from Groupers actually saw the article and has been sharing it like crazy, and I really appreciate that. Thanks to them for that.
Yeah, in fact, I'm pretty sure that the actor that plays Hank shared your article.
Nice, Hank. Hank. Oh God, Hank, or as I call him, Nazi Carl.
That's right.
Jay, Silent Bob, and Nazi Carl. I love Hank. Hank is definitely one of my favorite characters in that movie. He really is. Hank is the man. I have to check him out. If he did, man, I'm gonna have to give him a hey-oh.
Yeah, right. All right, man. Well, I think that's probably going to do it for us for this episode of the Plotaholics, as well as for Will Smith-Tember.
Yeah,
it's
our second big event, and it's in the can now.
That's right. We'll talk to you guys again real soon, and we'll get things to be a little bit spookier.
Whoa.
We'll talk to you soon.
Later.
Take a trip with us to Nilbog. Just promise not to drink the goo.
Oh my God!
If you get sucked into the Matrix, we will send a phone for you.
Do you believe in fate?
Sometimes the end game is the perfect place to start.
We're in the end game now.
And other times you want to pretend the prequels were never a real thing. Let's just pod race to the end.
It's working!
Every movie has a plot hole, and every hole gets filled somehow. Whiskey, wine, or blue milk. Just don't cut me off right now. We're the Plotaholics, a breakfast club or two. We are the Plotaholics, ripping plots apart for you. Shane and Brian are an island, two real-life misfit toys, wanting to be a RoboCop.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Settling for Black Circle boys, and just like Dr. Hammond, extracting amber from wood.
And later there's running and then
A
screaming.
little too busy asking if we could, and never asking if we should. But every movie has a plot hole, and every hole gets filled somehow. With whiskey, wine, or blue milk. Just don't cut me off right now. We're the Plotaholics, a breakfast club of two. We're the Plotaholics, ripping plots apart for you.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.